The colloquial thought has it that to begin is the hardest job to do. And then they say that proverbs come in pairs. Having begun with the first of two similar proverbs that I intend to use, let me pose a question for you. Haven't we all initiated something in our life, and as time passed, left it midway? Haven't we all, at some point in our lives, failed to provide that finishing touch, that penultimate stroke of genius to some of those beginnings? It matters not that we were capable, or that we were this close, but what in the end, or that the end was not the end we envisioned, right? So what complex philosophy am I hinting at? Not much, except that there is no point in life where we can sit back and expect things to unfold by themselves. Or in other words, we lesser mortals have very less scope for complacency. To make sense of all this, let me state that yes indeed, our alma mater for tomorrow, the Indian Institute of Management IIM Ranchi, has got off to a thunderous beginning, and that wonderful prologue is the reason why we stand here today, listening to what some of us have to say about this institute. Despite multiple calls and deliberative moments, there must have been something else that this school attained in the last 3 years, and as that helped you take that decision in making Ranchi your home for the next 2 years, and the people around you, your family, for even longer. Having said that, I now come to the fraternal twin of my commencing proverb that goes, well begun is half done. My beloved audience, let us not let things drift away from a good beginning is a boon which we can't afford to waste. Now is the time to develop the present, bring forth a well-defined past, and carry this legacy forward by working together to create the IIM Ranchi that we all have envisaged at some point or the other. The students of the older IIMs were not born with a halo around their head. A lot of you would have made it to the older IIMs if it would not have been for a certain number of projects or a number or two here in graduation. However, the people who study in these institutes are not better than us. They just get everything laid out to them on a platter. The alumni, the campuses, the locations, and they have the luxury to bask in the glory. We meanwhile have had to make our foray into unknown territories with nothing but a tag. We have had to fight every day for the identity of our institution and its students. This despite nasty hurdles, limited funds, and even more limited space. And that is the very crux of my belief that we are good enough for a scrap. People who live in scarcity know the meaning of excess. People who have faced darkness know what light is. Likewise, a struggle with scarcity and roadblocks have made us managers in the truest sense. Yes, there are issues, but we are more than surviving, aren't we? We have the alacrity, zeal, and now the responsibility to prove ourselves to the nation. Let us pledge to give our best to the institute, pledge to keep the IMR flag flying high, pledge to make a good fight out of it, if nothing else, and be the reason to the college for which the college is proud of. We have begun well and have done part of the job expected of us, but we have a long way to go, and this persistent effort is the only thing which will take us there. Thus with the maxim, try to fail but do not fail to try, I conclude my opening lines and move on to other agenda of the evening, my deliverables. For starters, no, I do not promise to bring IIM Ranchi to the level of ADCS in a year. But then neither do I believe that we should be really chasing goals that someone else set for us, that push us to live up to predefined benchmarks. Of course, like any good thing, our system has its shortcomings. Now I can't change the system overnight, but what I can promise is to make an honest and dedicated attempt to make things right. Start from the grassroots. I have not been over-ambitious with the manifesto. I have no huge presentations to give to you. Having been tempted to overpromise and having run the risk of underperforming thereafter, I have decided to stick to realistic goals. Because without addressing the basic needs of the college, where we even go forward without any major event that propels the college into the annals of national branding, we would be facing major administrative issues that would do us more harm than good. So unless we have a well-oiled student affairs committee, unless the basic needs of the students ranging from food to transportation to infrastructure to sports to recreation are met, I believe that we'll continue having a tough time in getting our hard work to turn around for us. However, having said that, and having addressed the basic issues dodging the badge in general, I also intend to organize the management day for the next year. This is to become the flagship event of IIM Ranchi. The management test plan this year could not materialize due to the lack of funds as well as time constraints. I take it that we are all aware of the operational hazards which engulfed our batch in the initial times, and thus you will sympathize with the organizers who tried so hard to make it happen. But bygones being bygones and looking ahead, something our college currently lacks is greater corporate visibility, and a management conclave that helps us bridge that gap. While the fest will no doubt give us greater acceptance among our peers, but since the funds are currently at a premium for our budding institution, I believe that only one of these can take place at a time. And The management conclave can serve as the perfect base in providing the necessary momentum needed to kickstart the best at a later year through funding, visibility and space. There is also the need for a blog which unites the entire batch. An informal blog which is not only informative but also a fun place for the entire batch to share the daily experiences with. A place for the faculties to pen their lighted thoughts and a chance for the clubs to make their presence felt. I propose that a student feedback system be incorporated within this blog which will be directly under the purview of the JS and the GS. Clubs and committees have to have greater accountability and their effort and actions need to be carefully channeled into fruitful outcomes. In order to ensure a definitive plan of action and greater synergy among all clubs and committees and see to it that they follow up on their goals, I plan to effect a bi-monthly batch meet which includes all the clubs and committees. They will be required to send the minutes to the entire batch after each meet and apprise them of the developments in the forthcoming meetings. This will ensure vibrancy and healthy competition among the clubs and committees. Most of us have had some other concerns with the placement committee at some time or the other. Some of the concerns might have been misplaced. But what I intend to do is start an internal placecom portal which will house the CVs of all the students because there have been a lot of issues surrounding the same. Apart from that, what I plan to do is open a 24-hour canteen, bring emergency vehicles under the control of the SFC, and initiate the process for the separation of the sports and cultural committee into two for a more focused approach. Finally, yet not the less important, is the need to tread with caution when dealing with the authorities. I will not mince my words when I say that on occasions more than one there have been people in our administration who have been stonewalling our every effort, every initiative and every issue that we have had. Our seniors have set in motion a process to penetrate the thick armor that our administration purports, but neither was Rome built in a day and nor will the continued efforts of our seniors bear fruit overnight. I will thus take it very seriously to push forward the momentum created in trying to reason with and move past the hardliners in our administration and stand for the students' rights while working coherently with people who have genuinely stood by our cause and have had our backs. And for a college that managed to win the Mahindra War Room with such issues plaguing the batch, it leaves very less to the imagination as to what we could be actually capable of doing with the full support of the administration. As I near my conclusion, I would venture out to say that on looking at the bigger picture, it does not really matter who wins this election as long as she is the best person for the post. But then the onus of deciding what decides the best is on you. I implore upon you the necessity to make an informed decision for the sake of an institute, for tomorrow it will be we and only we who will be responsible for the choices that we make. After all, the word we here at Amrachi refers not to the club, not to the committee, but to the whole fraternity. Because this vibrant gamut of people don't just dream, we are go-getters and simple wishful thinking is not our forte. With that in mind, I have faith in every one of you when I impress upon you the need to look beyond promises and look into the character. To look beyond regional boundaries and adopt a song. Thank you.